Very frustrating loss. We haven't done that in a while. We haven't done that in some time. So very, very frustrating. And this is one of those where you want to watch it, correct it, and then burn the film because you're like, that's not who we are. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I'm tired of being disrespected. So there was no question I was going to play this year.
We are now the Las Vegas Raiders.
Welcome into Vegas Nation Blitz. I'm your host, Cassie Soto. I hate to pick at the scab here, but we have to talk about this Raiders 43-6 loss to the Falcons on Sunday. I'm sure Raiders fans want to forget about this one. Heck, you just heard from Raiders quarterback Derek Carr saying that he wants to burn this film, but like I said, we have to talk about it. So let's go ahead and bring in Raiders beat writer for the Las Vegas Review-Journal, Vinny Bonsignor. Vinny, you were at this game, and I think going into this one, the talk was that the Raiders were not going to get beat by the Falcons per se. Instead, the Raiders were going to beat themselves. And between the turnovers and the penalties and just the total lack of discipline, I think that's what happened here.
Yeah, no question about it. And Derek Carr alluded to it, after the game, and basically pointing out that that this didn't just happen on Sunday. It goes all the way back to the previous week: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The preparation that the Raiders put in or didn't put in, he felt like they were flat throughout the week. They weren't practicing up to their standards. And it was reflected in the sloppy performance on Sunday. A lot of times, the result takes care of itself. The result is the result of the work that you put in. Derek felt it fell short of the standards that they've set for themselves, and they paid a dear price for that. And the key now is making sure that doesn't happen. And that starts on Wednesday when the Raiders get back to the building and get back to work.
Well, I mean, we have to give credit where credit is due here. John Gruden said going into this one that this Falcons team was the best 3-7 team that he had seen so far this season. Didn't know how they had lost some games. What did the Falcons do to get the better of the Raiders in this one?
Well, they took advantage of plenty of opportunities. Anytime you turn the ball over 5 times, as the Raiders give the Falcons credit, 3 of those turnovers, the strip sacks of Derek Carr, they just won battles up front and were able to get to Derek Carr and cause turnovers. But the penalties, the 11 penalties for 41 yards, that's squarely on the Raiders in terms of their lack of discipline. They just were a sloppy, flat team on Sunday. You give all the credit to the Falcons. They're playing hard under Raheem Morris. They're not quitting in spite of the record. In fact, they're 4-2 now with Raheem Morris as the head coach. So he's hit the right buttons and has got that team playing. And for whatever reason, in spite of John Gruden's warnings to his team that this was a really good 3-7 team, they didn't heed it. It was reflected in their work week and obviously in the game. So give the Falcons credit, a lot of credit, but the Raiders didn't come correct at all at any point last week.
Yeah, I want to bring back up what you said at the beginning of this, that Derek Carr did say that practice was flat this week. He said the game itself was trash. Do you think that this was a wake-up call for this team to have their best practice yet as they come up to face the Jets on Sunday?
Well, it has to be, and I've talked to some players, and they're curious to find out what the mood is on Wednesday and what the level of energy is on Wednesday. You're going to find out pretty quickly if the Raiders are going to come correct or incorrect this week. And the guys that I've talked to are like, look, if we're a playoff team, we're going to have to act like a playoff team. These next 4 games or 5 games, I should say, are going to define who the Raiders really are. And it really does start when they get back into the building on Wednesday. And guys that I've talked to are curious to find out what the temperature is when they get back to work on Wednesday. I have a sneaky suspicion the temperature is going to be way up there, and they're going to be ready to get after it and get back on track.
Yeah, we got the classic quote here: "Practice." We're talking about practice, Vinny, but that's
very
where it
important.
starts.
No question about it. This is a Monday through Saturday process. The game itself and the results itself, whatever ceiling you have, you're going to get there. Even if you're going to play to your ceiling based on how much the kind of work you put in prior to it.
All right, we will see what happens this week and on Sunday versus the Jets. Vinny, thank you so much as always.
All right, Cassie, have a good one.
In other news, the San Francisco 49ers will play their next 2 games in Glendale, Arizona, after Santa Clara County implemented COVID-19 rules barring contact sports for 3 weeks. The Jacksonville Jaguars fired general manager Dave Caldwell after Sunday's loss to the Browns left his team with a season record of 1-10. And Vanderbilt's Sandy Fuller became the first woman to play in a Power 5 college football game Saturday when she kicked off to start the second half of Vanderbilt's game against Missouri. I'm sure Raider Nation was not too happy with Sunday's results, so let's go ahead and see what they had to say about it on social media with Las Vegas Review-Journal sports journalist Leandre Fox. Leandre, what was Raider Nation's post-game reactions like?
Hurt, sad, distraught, all those negative things that you could feel after a game like that. It just was not a fun time. Sports fans, you all know how this goes. Things like that happen from time to time, and it never feels good. The only people celebrating are those in Atlanta. They had the casino, the slot machine, with a big win on their Instagram account for the Atlanta Falcons, but Raiders fans were not happy with that at all.
Yeah, Atlanta playing off of the Las Vegas theme there. Raiders probably didn't like that too much, but it is what it is. You got to win the game if you don't want that kind of reaction, Dre. Well, we know that Oakland native Damian Lillard is a huge fan of the Raiders. He tries to run the Raider Nation there, but I think Mans was heartbroken a little bit this weekend, Dre.
Well, after a game like that, you kind of have to be. And his teammate, CJ McCollum, another star guard in the NBA, was poking at him a little bit, saying, hey, man, what happened? And Dame said he's not watching the NFL for the rest of the season. He said he was done. It took him out completely. Don't know what CJ is poking at him a little bit for. CJ is a Browns fan, and if I remember correctly, in the Grapple, the Raiders beat the Browns, so I wouldn't be poking the bear like that. But Raider Nation do know that Damian Lillard is standing firm with y'all. Next year, someone tried to recruit him to the 49ers, and he said that's not what we're going to do here.
Yeah, there's always next year, right, Dre?
For sure.
Well, final one for you. Derek Carr was obviously not happy on Sunday, but come Monday, he had a very big reason to smile and just be so happy.
Yeah, Raider Nation, welcome the newest addition to the Carr family. Derek Carr posted on Twitter on Monday that his baby girl has been born. He and his wife Heather have welcomed a daughter into the world, and Derek Carr is officially #GirlDad.
#GirlDad, you love it. He's got 3 boys, but wanted that girl. Girls rule, boys drool. Leandre, thank you so much.
Something like that. Thanks, guys.
We are going to take a quick break, but we will be right back. Which of these Heisman Trophy winners played for the Raiders? Was it A, Terry Baker, B, Joe Bellino, C, Billy Cannon, or D, John David Crow?
Stay on the winning page with fan fave Las Vegas Review-Journal to receive Vegas Nation content, plus breaking news, local entertainment, and lifestyle coverage. For only 99 cents a week, you'll get home delivery plus unlimited access to LVRJ.com. However you like it, whenever you like it. Award-winning content, all at your fingertips. Subscribe today at mylvrj.com/superfan.
Our Vegas Nation podcast keep you up to date with all things Raiders. Get your week going with First and 10 on Mondays featuring Sam Gordon and Vinny Bonsignor.
Who can you count on to make a big play when you need one?
Wednesdays, Heidi Fang brings you in-depth interviews with Raiders players and personalities.
You know it's a great challenge.
On Fridays, get your dose of Raiders talk and musings from Ed Graney and Adam Hill with unsportsmanlike conduct.
Should there be any discipline? No. People are going to get it, and that's fine.
Vegas Nation, fast takes, smart coverage.
Thanks so much for tuning back into Vegas Nation Blitz. I'm your host, Cassie Soto, alongside Las Vegas Review-Journal sports columnist Ed Graney. Ed, before the Falcons game, you said last week that the 6-4 Raiders this year were different than the 6-4 Raiders last year. Do you still believe that after this 43-6 loss to the Falcons?
That is the danger of television and having things on replay and video, Cassie. They certainly didn't play like it. It was an atrocious performance in Atlanta in every way, and I think John Gruden and Derek Carr and others admitted that afterwards. They didn't come to play. They weren't ready. They weren't prepared. And when you do that in the NFL, it doesn't really matter who you're playing. You're going to get beat. When you have 11 penalties and turn the ball over 5 times and then all the stuff that they did, it's not good. So for now, until we see what happens with the Jets, I'm not so sure. I reserve the right to change my mind just a little and to see what they do against the Jets to see if they're different this year.
Well, every week, Ed, we know that you grade the Raiders win or loss, in this case, a very, very bad loss. And those were the words that you started your column with. Bad. So very, very bad. Was there anything really left to write after that?
I'm a simple man. Not very many big words there. Look, I mean, they didn't play well, and you have to say it how it is. And if you do it, if you don't, then, you're going to be cheating the people reading, you're going to be cheating the fans, because you can't fool fans. I mean, they know they saw what they saw. So it wasn't good. But the good thing about the NFL is until you're through with an entire regular season, you have another chance. And their next chance comes in New York on Sunday, in Jersey at MetLife Stadium. And they have got to bounce back here. I know we're going to talk about the playoff picture here. They need to bounce back big time on Sunday.
Yeah, you mentioned the playoff picture right there. If the season ended today, the Raiders would be outside looking in and thinking about all the mistakes they made this season. What the heck went wrong? Do they basically have to be perfect from here on out, Ed, to be in control of their destiny?
That perfect would be tough. They're at 5 losses. 10-6 is going to get you in, but 9-7 is probably going to put you in this pool of 2 or 3 teams fighting for one spot. Cleveland, who they beat, well, now Cleveland's 2 games ahead of them because Cleveland beat Jacksonville. That's tough on the Raiders. Now, they do still host Miami and Indianapolis, 2 teams they would be in that mix with for probably the final wild card spot. But their margin for error, if they're losing to Atlanta, Cassie, the margin for error has shrunk considerably. I don't know if they have to be perfect because that would get them to 11-5, and I don't think they're good enough to be 11-5. But 10-6 would get them at 9-7, which is probably where the trajectory puts them if they can come back here after this loss. They're going to be fighting other teams for those spots, and then it comes down to tiebreakers, and they need to start beating the teams that are also going to be fighting for those spots.
Well, you mentioned they might not get to those 11 wins here, but do you think, Ed, that they had to get this one out of the way, that this Falcons game was last year's Jets game, the one where you just think and say, what the heck? You scratch your heads, as Derek Carr says he wants to burn this film. You look at this one, you burn it, you move on. Do you think that they turn around in time and have a decent practice? Because we also know that Derek Carr said that the practice last week was flat. That's obviously where it starts for these guys. Do you think they do enough to turn around to not have a repeat of the Falcons and last year's Jets game for this year's Jets game?
Well, here's a few things. One, they should never have bad practices. They're not good enough to have bad practices. You know what? The Chiefs can have a bad practice every now and then. The Raiders cannot. They have to practice well every day and prepare to win games in that league. It might have been the Jets game in terms of how it looked, but for their sake, it better not be a Jets game after that. Because remember, the Raiders lost 5 of their last 6. They never recovered from the Jets game. So if they are different, they will go to MetLife Stadium. They will win that game to get 7-5, and then they come home, Indy, Miami, the Chargers, teams like that, and then there's the push to try to get back in this playoff hunt and secure a berth. So yes, the Atlanta game looked like the Jets game, but now what comes next? If what comes next was last year, it's not going to be good. If they bounce back and win this week, then perhaps they are really different.
Well, let's see if this team can get it together for practice this week and be ready to face the Jets on Sunday. Ed, thank you so much.
Thanks, Cassie.
Well, he is Ed Graney, Las Vegas Review-Journal sports columnist. We are going to take a quick break. We will be right back. The answer is C. Billy Cannon, the former LSU running back, scored 28 touchdowns in 6 seasons with the Silver and Black.
Welcome back to the Vegas Nation Blitz. It's Heidi Fang here, your Vegas Nation podcast host, and I've got your AFC update this week. Let's start it off with none of the AFC West teams actually took home a win except for the defending Super Bowl champion Chiefs. Now, the Chiefs held off the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 27-24 to take a win over Tom Brady. Make that another win and reigning in the AFC West division right now for Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. And then you have a matchup between the Saints and the Denver Broncos, where I'm pretty sure nobody heard of the quarterback named Kendall Hinton at all before the start of this game, and rightfully so. He's a practice squad guy playing out of Wake Forest that stepped up because all the Denver Bronco quarterbacks had suffered from cases or landed on the COVID-19 list and could not play. So in the end, he got off one complete pass against the Saints defense, who basically took over because Taysom Hill didn't have that great of a performance as well against the Broncos, but still the Saints able to pull off a huge victory here, 31-3 over the Broncos. The Chargers' struggles also continued against the Buffalo Bills. They took another loss and still remain at the bottom of the AFC West as of right now. So the Raiders are going to have some work to do in the coming week when they head into New York to face the Jets, where last year they lost pretty badly, 34-3, but not as bad as they lost to the Falcons this week, bringing their record to 6-5. That's not where you want to be right now if you're looking at the overall playoff picture. Why? Because in the AFC, there are tons of surging teams, particularly right now when you look at the AFC North. Though Pittsburgh is at the top, you have the Browns surging at 8-3, as well as the Ravens right there. So that's something that you're going to have to look at when we're talking about the wild card picture. There are a ton of teams right now in the AFC that are all vying for that position. Indianapolis, Miami, even the Patriots on a 5-win season as of right now could sneak in there somehow. So the Raiders are going to need to pick it up a step to get back into that picture. We're going to continue to talk about future matchups here in week 13 that are going to be pivotal for this AFC race. The Chargers will face the Patriots. As I said, the Patriots only have 5 wins, but right now, if they keep surging, they could definitely sneak into a playoff spot. The Browns head into Tennessee to face the Titans this week, and that one's going to be a key matchup as well in the AFC playoff battle as we start to look at it here in week 13. And that'll do it for our AFC roundup this week. Make sure to stay tuned as we take a look at one of these semi-finalists on the ballot for the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2021. He was a Heisman winner. He was a 2-time Raider as well as a Packer, and that would be none other than the defensive phenomenon, Charles Woodson. As announced in November 2020, there are 4 first-year eligible players among the 25 semifinalists for the Pro Football Hall of Fame: Jared Allen, Calvin Johnson, Peyton Manning, and Charles Woodson. But only one of those players ever donned the silver and black. A product of the University of Michigan, Woodson was drafted 4th overall in the 1998 NFL Draft. The only primarily defensive player to ever win the Heisman, Woodson also beat out Peyton Manning for the coveted honor. Woodson played 2 stints for the Raiders from 1998 to 2005 and again from 2013 to 2015. Sandwiched in between, he played 7 seasons with the Green Bay Packers, where he also won a Super Bowl championship. Woodson is the first player in NFL history to record 60 interceptions and 20 sacks. He is currently tied for 5th on the all-time interceptions list with 65 and is in a 3-way tie with Rod Woodson and Darren Sharper for most defensive touchdowns ever with 13. Woodson was a 9-time Pro Bowler and also was selected as the NFL's Defensive Player of the Year in 2009. Of course, a key moment for Woodson was the divisional playoff game against the Patriots, where Woodson forced a fumble by hitting his former Michigan teammate, Tom Brady. However, after a review in the infamous Tuck Rule game, the call was reversed and Tom Brady would go on to win a Super Bowl. Then after having 2 seasons plagued by injury, Woodson would go on to sign with the Packers. Woodson returned to play the final 3 seasons of his career with the Raiders. In 2014, he hit a career high of 111 combined tackles. And that'll do it for this moment in history.
Stay on the winning page with Fan Fave Las Vegas Review Journal to receive Vegas Nation content, plus breaking news, local entertainment, and lifestyle coverage. For only 99 cents a week, you'll get home delivery plus unlimited access to LVRJ.com. However you like it, whenever you like it. Award-winning content, all at your fingertips. Subscribe today at mylvrj.com/superfan.
Our Vegas Nation podcast keep you up to date with all things Raiders. Get your week going with 1st and 10 on Mondays featuring Sam Gordon and Vinny Bonsignore.
Who you can count on to make a big play when you need one.
Wednesdays, Heidi Fang brings you in-depth interviews with Raiders players and personalities.
You know it's a great challenge.
On Fridays, get your dose of Raiders talk and musings from Ed Graney and Adam Hill with unsportsmanlike unsportsmanlike conduct.
Should there be any discipline? No. People are going to get it, and that's fine.
Vegas Nation. Fast takes, smart coverage.
Thanks so much for tuning in to Vegas Nation Blitz. I'm your host, Cassie Soto, alongside Raiders beat writer for the Las Vegas Review-Journal, Sam Gordon. Sam, to put it nicely, the numbers from this game were abysmal. I'll go ahead and let you take it away from here.
Yeah, they certainly were, Cassie. Obviously, 43-6 is the most resounding loss of the Raiders had this season. And this is a game where the stats pretty much, the raw numbers, the counting stats pretty much tell the entire story, right? You look at the margin of defeat, 37 points. That's the most substantial this season. Raiders had 13 first downs. That is a season low, but significantly. Their fewest previous season low was 16. They had 243 yards of total offense. That's right, 243, far and away their lowest of the season. Their previous low, 309 at the Grapple game in Cleveland. There was no such conditions down there in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Their rushing yards, 40. Far and away a season low. This is the top 10 rushing offense coming into the game. The 40 yards was the worst of the season. And then 5 turnovers, far and away their most in any game this season. The 5 sacks they allowed was the most. So across the board, I mean, everything bottomed out. This was rock bottom for the Raiders this season. Fortunately for them, they have an opportunity next weekend to right the wrongs, or this upcoming Sunday rather, to right the wrongs that happened in Atlanta against the New York Jets, a team where they're going to have a number of advantages.
Yeah, well, let's go ahead and preview it there. We saw what happened with the Falcons this past week. We know what happened with the Jets last year.
Yeah.
Do we think that happens again with the Jets this Sunday?
I mean, any given Sunday, as we know, based on what happened with the Falcons game, but I don't expect a repeat. And what I more so expect is what probably should have happened in Atlanta, right? The Jets, much like the Falcons, are absolutely abysmal in their pass defense. Opposing quarterbacks this season against the Jets completing 71.8% of their passes. That's the highest mark in the league. Opposing quarterbacks are accounting for a passer rating of 104.8 against the Jets, the 4th highest mark in the league. And on top of that, the Jets are allowing 284 passing yards per game. That's the 3rd most in the NFL. So not quite as bad as Atlanta in some respects, but even worse than in others. So while I certainly expected the Raiders to take advantage of that leaky pass defense down there in the ATL, that didn't happen. They have another chance against a pass defense that's just as bad as New York Jets, and a team that, as we know, is 0-11, and nothing's really going. I mean, I could go on all type of numbers about the Jets, and we'll get to more on Sunday during game day as well. But they're going to have their chances to beat the Jets through the air, and that's what they could have done against Atlanta. Didn't do it. We'll see if they do it again on Sunday.
Yeah, well, you mentioned it there. We'll take a deeper dive into these numbers versus the Jets on Sunday for Vegas Nation Game Day. Sam and I will be your hosts for that. Sam, until then, we'll see you on Sunday. Thank you so much, as always.
Thank you, Cassie. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for tuning into another episode of Vegas Nation Blitz. We hope you join us this Sunday, as we just said, for Vegas Nation Game Day at 9 a.m. You can watch us live on Cox Review Channel 14 or stream us live on Review Journal YouTube page, reviewjournal.com, vegasnation.com, and Vegas Nation Facebook. Once again, that's Vegas Nation Game Day at 9 a.m. For our Vegas Nation crew, I'm Cassie Soto. We'll see you then.